We have officially reached late stage CrossFit. This is an idea that Karl Marx laid out in his 1848 book, The CrossFit Manifesto. No, not really. The other day I heard someone talking about late stage capitalism, which I hadn't heard anybody talk about since college, which if you don't know what that is, just go ahead and look it up. It's political, but this is not a political video. It got me thinking about how many parallels there are to CrossFit and how we are actually kind of in late stage CrossFit. And some of these things I think were kind of inevitable evolutions of the way CrossFit was going to go. But today I'm going to lay out things or reasons why I think we're in late stage CrossFit. So I have a few categories that I'm going to go through. And for each one, I'm going to give a couple points of things that I thought of that are reasons why we're in late stage CrossFit. Let's start off with the training of CrossFit or the methodology. So a while back, I was going to do a workout that had 225 wall balls in it. Throughout the workout, at some point, it had 225 wall balls in it. The owner of my gym came up to me and he goes, "Why are you doing a workout with 225 wall balls in it? You know you'll never see a workout with 225 wall balls in it." Insinuating as if the only reason I train is to get ready for other workouts or for competitions. We're at the point where training is so centered around what already exists and what happens at competitions that the idea of doing something that somebody else doesn't do or you haven't seen before is like non-existent in people's brains. Like training to just get better isn't a thing anymore. That's late stage CrossFit. Another version of this is the GHD thing that we've been seeing in competitions. The spirit of the movement is to hang off the back of the pad. That's the way the movement's intended to be done. So it's just another version of like competition comes first. CrossFit is originally a training methodology that you could compete in, and now competing is the whole thing that people care about. Another thing with the training methodology that I think was inevitable is people being more thoughtful with their intensity. When all of us started CrossFit, people were 100% intensity all the time. Burn it down no matter what. If you get back on the rower in an AMRAP with 40 seconds to go, you're full on pulling that row like until you pass out at the end of the 40 seconds. I think people now have been around long enough and kind of done enough CrossFit that they're a little bit more intentional with their intensity. And I don't actually think that's a bad thing, but I do think it was a natural progression. I don't go into every workout being like, the only goal is to feel dead after this. And now I'm kind of like, no, the stimulus of the workout is to go at this pace. And I'm not going to sprint the last 30 seconds just because it's the last 30 seconds. I'm going to try and keep the stimulus all the way through. And that doesn't leave me as dead all the time, but I think that's a good thing and kind of like a natural progression of CrossFit just being around for a while. Now we've got the athletes. And when I say athletes, I'm talking about the CrossFit Games athletes. Everything they post is ads. And this may be a progression with social media as well, not even just a progression with CrossFit. When I was on Instagram in like 2019, a lot of the stuff I saw was like, ooh, this is a banger. Ooh, this is a banger. And now I get on and I'm like, okay, another sponsored post, another sponsored post, another sponsored post, another sponsored. Again, I think it was just kind of a natural progression. CrossFit athletes at the games who are competing were all just kind of weekend warriors. And then at some point, it kind of crept up. Those weekend warriors wanted to do a little bit more. So maybe somebody went to part-time and now they're training way more. And then eventually somebody goes to full-time. I think people talk about Rich being like the first like full-time guy. I don't know though. Now once he's competing, if you want to keep up with him, now you have to be a full-time athlete. And so now we've gotten to the point where they're like, okay, I need to make my money without having a full-time job so that I can train full-time. And this is just kind of a natural progression. We've gotten to the point where they're like, the athletes just need to get their money because they need to be full-time because somebody else is full-time. I think that's kind of a progression of CrossFit and also a progression of just kind of the internet. I mean, I see it in other spaces aside from just CrossFit. Okay, this next one I'm definitely picking on the athletes. Part of what we've gotten into is athletes just take whatever piece of the CrossFit pie they can take and dip out. And I actually don't know that this is late stage because I feel like it happened early on too with guys like Marcus Philly who just kind of like dipped out and then he was like, oh, I don't do CrossFit. I just do this kind of a little bit CrossFit. I think Marcus Philly maybe wasn't that bad because I don't know that he ever like denounced CrossFit. That's just an example though. This happens all the time. I'm sure you guys can think of some other examples. That is kind of the late stage CrossFit. CrossFit exists as this huge thing and then everybody's like, oh, I'm just going to take whatever piece of this pie I can get and dip out. And a lot of that that happens with athletes. Another example I think would be, and I know they have their reasons, but some of the people who kind of like dipped out on CrossFit over the last few years, it's like, dude, the only reason you're anything is because of CrossFit. And not that you have to be blindly loyal, but they come in, they get hugely like famous, Instagram followers, super fit, obviously off of the training. They're just grifting off of everything in CrossFit and then leaving, which is kind of my third point. And that is, I think some of the athletes feel like they're not a part of the community. They feel like the community cheers for them. And I can't think of a specific example, but some of them talk like, I'm a separate part of the community. And I may be wrong about this, but early on, it kind of felt like the CrossFit Games athletes were kind of just like the best of us. Now it almost feels like they almost feel like royalty, like living in a palace, and we're all just kind of like out there, as opposed to they were just kind of the best of us. And I think some of that is them not training in affiliates, the way we train being so different now. Some of them started CrossFit with the intention of going to the games. A lot of people started CrossFit with interest because of the games, but some people are solely there for the games. Which brings me to us being in late stage CrossFit with the games. The programming is just so old and worn out. It feels like Dave just programs different versions of the same workouts every year. It just kind of, it doesn't have that oomph it used to. I think we all feel that. I think part of it is the Lazar thing. It kind of lost its vibe a little bit. Part of that is kind of stuff going on with like HQ. One of the things I've noticed with the CrossFit Games is sponsors come in and then they just leave like right after. If you see other sports, they'll have these long standing sponsors that are years and years and years. And I know we're a new sport, so it's probably not going to be the same. CrossFitters are so loyal and so gung-ho about stuff that sponsors will come in, they immediately win over like all CrossFitters, and then they know that if they leave and don't sponsor anymore, us CrossFitters are still going to buy from them. Reebok, like they came in, they were big on it, then they left, and everybody still buys Nanos. Like I still buy Nano 2s all the time. That's like the only shoe I'll wear. Noble comes in. Everybody buys Noble. Noble explodes after sponsoring the games, and then they just kind of dip, and now like people still kind of buy stuff from Noble. Like they got their name out there. The games is such a cheap way to kind of get such loyal people. The next part is the media. The CrossFit Games media itself, and also kind of like the outside media. CrossFit's ads and CrossFit's ad campaign going on right now is basically just rerun of kind of the old stuff. The Road to the Games is just kind of like a rerun of the old stuff. It feels like there's no real kind of authenticity to it, and I don't know if that's a problem, but like I watched the Road to the Games this year, and it was like all about the like games athletes' dogs. Hardly any of it was even about training. Like, is the media even about CrossFit anymore? I had that one video where I talked about the Road to the Games. Half of them didn't even have workout descriptions in them. Like, how can you even be a part of CrossFit and not showing workouts like that? Another thing with the media is, and now I'm doing it too, I'm about to stack onto it, but the media in CrossFit kind of just talks about the other media. This person will make this piece of media, and then everybody else in the media just talks about those other pieces of media. Instead of making anything unique or about CrossFit itself, somebody makes something and then somebody else makes a version or a reaction to that. I don't know if that's an issue. It's just kind of more content. Like there could be a little bit more uniqueness. There was that week where the Media Hill thing happened, and every video I watched for that whole week was about Media Hill, and it's like, we're media talking about ourselves. I would just like to click on and see something where it's like, oh wow, that's cool. Like not about people talking about themselves, which I realize I am now doing as well. CrossFit's just kind of died enough to where the media just feels a little bit fizzled out in terms of what's coming from HQ and what's coming from just like outside media. It just doesn't have enough buzz to really do anything, especially if you look at stuff like Craig Ritchie, who was getting like 200,000 views per video, and now the best guy is like Hiller, and he gets like 40, 50, 60,000 views per video. Next up, we got CrossFit HQ. And I think this is probably one of the biggest indicators that we're in late stage CrossFit. And that is the company's being traded like a stock between private equity companies. Somebody bought it, not with the intention of making it better and making money off of it, but they bought it with the intention of then repackaging it and reselling it to another private equity company. Doesn't seem to be a sustainable business model aside from people trading it as a commodity. And that doesn't seem like like a great thing for the company, and it doesn't seem like a great thing in terms of getting more buzz when their whole goal is kind of just buy it, make it look good, sell it to somebody else. But again, once it's been sold once, it's just gonna keep being sold because it's not something that you buy for $250 million and then make money off of. Like it's probably not even worth $250 million if you're buying it with the intention of having it as a business. It's only worth that with the potential of reselling it to somebody else. Once it's been sold once, it's going downhill from there. And the biggest one is that the people who work at HQ aren't even CrossFitters. And if they are CrossFitters, they only just do it because they work there, but they're not like die-hard CrossFitters. With CrossFit specifically, it's so kind of passion-driven that if you're not like a die-hard CrossFitter, probably shouldn't even be working at CrossFit in the first place. Okay, this last one is things that didn't really fit into one specific category, but I still wanted to talk about. The copycats. One of the side effects of having something as good as CrossFit is that you're going to have copycats. I mean, a perfect example of this would be like Comp Train. They come in, they're all CrossFit, all gung-ho, and then now they're like, oh, well, working people don't need to be doing muscle-ups, so we're going to make this different thing and like kind of talk down on CrossFit. And it's like, nobody ever said working people need to do muscle-ups, but it's still good to try and do them to develop your strength, flexibility, balance, coordination, accuracy, stamina, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, okay, maybe not everybody should be trying to do a muscle-up right now, but we're not going to sit around and act like it wouldn't be good if those people could do muscle-ups, like it wouldn't be good for their fitness and for their health. But then they just kind of word it like, oh, CrossFit's bad because they only care about people doing muscle-ups. All these people are just kind of taking what CrossFit is and then just kind of copying it a little bit in some ways and taking what they want out of it. If CrossFit can truly lean into what it is and understand what it is, then those people can never truly replicate CrossFit. You can have the hybriders who are good at running and good at lifting, doing the power lifts, but they'll never understand the true breadth of what CrossFit actually is. A lot of it just comes down to branding. Like the hybrid kind of kick is going pretty good, and what CrossFit has is better than that. They just need to brand it better, because the fact is CrossFit is better than functional training. It's better than hybrid. It's better than High Rocks. It has a better community. It's a better form of training. It makes you fitter. Like all of that is true. It's just we're not doing a good job of branding it right now, and so these other things are like really picking up some steam, which is also my next point, and that is that the outside interest in CrossFit has completely died off. It was very novel in the beginning and everyone was very into it. Even people from outside, they were at least interested. And once people know what it is or have looked into it a couple times throughout the years, in 2025, they're just like, okay, I've seen that. I've looked into that. I've whatever, like, and maybe I've tried it a few times or whatever, but like we are just in the late stages of the outside interest is gone. And what we've got is what we've got. Now, this next one I think is one of the biggest problems we've run into within the last few years in the CrossFit community. And that is everybody turning on each other. This CrossFitter blaming this person for this, the athletes blaming this person for this, the community blaming these people for that. And I think one of the reasons for that is, as CrossFitters, most of the CrossFitters I know are kind of naturally counterculture type people. I mean, CrossFit was very counterculture in the beginning. All the media they did, the way they talk, Glassman, Castro, they're all like very counterculture people. Counterculture is like the root of CrossFit and CrossFitters. CrossFit is no longer counterculture because it's not even part of the wider array of culture. It just is. And so now we've got all these people in CrossFit who are kind of naturally counterculture people, and it almost seems like we've taken our countercultureness and just turned on each other. So now, instead of being counterculture by even doing CrossFit, we have to be counterculture by going against Dave at the games. We have to be counterculture by going against WFP. We have to be counterculture by doing this. And so now, instead of all of us being united in we're all counterculture together, I'm counterculture to you and you're counterculture to me, and like it's just kind of funny to see. One of the reasons I liked CrossFit is because I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing something different. I'm not doing that crap that you guys are doing. Like it was kind of a counterculture thing. And now it's like you see it with the anti-WFP thing. Oh, we're not doing that. We're doing this. And then WFP is, oh, we're not doing that. We're doing this. And some of the games athletes are like, we're not doing Dave Castro. We're all of us counterculture people. We're in the same place and we were all working together. And then all of that working together went away. And now we're just like, boom, just going against each other. So I think that was another natural progression progression of CrossFit. If we don't have like a strong, united counterculture effort like we used to, CrossFit against bodybuilding, CrossFit against the world type of thing, it's CrossFitters against each other because we're just those types of people that just have to be against something. Now, the last one is the most late stage CrossFitism thing. Whoop, grips, jump ropes, get your first strict pull-up program. Like everything you can think of in CrossFit that could be sold is being sold. Literally, CrossFit just started their own clothing brand. Like CrossFit HQ, the company. What is that? Like, stick to doing CrossFit. I like the kind of one-off, like, eat meat and vegetables shirts that they had. Those are cool, but, like, starting your own brand or whatever, and it doesn't even have CrossFit on it, or if it does, it's, like, super, super small. It's just like this. It's like a clothing brand. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we trying to sell clothing? You're CrossFit. Like, maybe sell the Pukey the Clown shirts. That's cool. Or sell the Fitness in 100 Words shirt. But, like, anything that they're doing should be pushing the brand forward. They should have the Fitness in 100 Words. It should have constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. It should have whatever on the shirt. But just having, like, a brand that barely even has the CrossFit logo on it, what are we doing? Anyway, that's what I could think of reasons why we're in late stage CrossFit. If you guys can think of any, go ahead, put them in the comments. If I missed any or I was wrong at any of those, go ahead, let me know. And thanks for watching.